rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just like to ask everybody to remain standing for your thoughts and prayers of the crisis that we're going through right now. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Missouri.
Here.
Basil.
Here.
Whaling.
Here.
Caprows.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Kraus.
Here. Is there anyone from the audience that wishes to address the board? Before we continue, I'd like to read a summarization of the last probably 3 weeks to a month, if I recall. This is a special board meeting that was called on March 18, 2020. Under these circumstances, we advised by the village attorney that we only can't even discuss or approve items that are on the agenda, nothing else. For our residents that watch this video, and I hope a lot do, our seating arrangements are looking different today because everything has been sanitized and we're practicing the social guidance guidelines. The village board, including myself, our staff, police, fire, and EMA departments are closely monitoring the COVID-19 pandemic and are implementing recommendations released by the Center for Disease Control, the Illinois Department of Public Health, the Will County Health Department, as well as the Office of the President of the United States and the Governor. For any updated information on the COVID-19 pandemic, I would strongly suggest that you visit those websites that I just mentioned above. We will continue to provide all essential services, but changes are being made to minimize exposure to our first responders, staff, and members of the village board. First responders and other employees may be wearing protective equipment, and business as usual may be conducted by phone. We have stopped replacing water meters unless absolutely necessary, and we have closed our municipal buildings to the general public. All regularly scheduled meetings of the village committees and commissions have been suspended until further notice. All village board meetings after this date are canceled at least till April 13th. Special board meetings will be called as needed, and if one is called, we will continue to post the meeting notice, videotape it, and post it on our YouTube channel, even though the meeting may be conducted by a conference call. There still has to be a moderator, there still has to be somebody sitting here speaking as like I am tonight, so we will videotape that, and you will also get the audio then at the same time, and we will continue to post that as we do our meetings. The village is suspending late fees on dog tags until further notice, so dog tags continue to be $10 each and may be purchased online through our e-pay system. And beginning March 19th, the drive-up window will be used for communications only. So we're encouraging everybody to use the front door drop box or online e-pay. We are suspending late fees for water bills until the next billing cycle. Water shutoffs are suspended until July 1st, 2020. And as always, if anybody needs help, please contact the village hall, and we will be happy to work out payments with you like we have done in the past. We have extended for 60 days any village-issued business, liquor, or vending machine license, as well as contractor's license, to minimize contact with staff at the village hall. We are encouraging our residents and customers to use the drop box located just outside the front door of the village hall, the United States Mail, and the e-pay system on the village's website for municipal payments. The drive-up window will be closed as of tomorrow, only for communications. Anyone using the e-pay system will have the convenience fees refunded to you on your water bill account. We are asking anyone who needs to conduct business with the village with a physical presence should call the village hall, make an appointment, and we will guide you from there. Let's say, for instance, if you do have a building permit that you need to apply for, whatever the case may be, call the village hall first. They will guide you through what documents you may need, have them pre-filled, and then make an appointment to actually come into the village hall. Practice good hygiene, clean commonly used surfaces office, and practice social distancing, avoiding any type of gathering. Anyone that feels ill should stay home, call their doctor and follow their instructions. In case of emergency, as always, like in the past, dial 911. If you must purchase supplies, do not overbuy. So there may be enough for everybody to go around, and the stores will have time to restock the shelves. Seated dining in our bars and restaurants has been prohibited, but I encourage you to take advantage of those restaurants that are providing carryouts. If we don't do that, I am actually afraid that some of our local businesses may not be here when this pandemic is over because they can't survive. So I would highly recommend that everybody, whenever they can, go out to eat, but get it and then bring it back. If we work as a team, okay, we will get through this national emergency. We will continue to review how we do business and update you of any changes. Once again, for information on the virus itself, go visit the CDC, Illinois Department of Public Health, and the Will County Health Department's websites. If you have any questions, please call the Village Hall. The Village Hall is currently fully staffed and will be conducting business during normal business hours. And as I indicated earlier, this is very rapidly changing on a day-to-day basis, if not hourly basis, and we will continue to update our residents and our public through the use of social media, our websites, and so on and so forth. With that, Bob, I'm going to ask you to handle the first item on the agenda.
Consider an ordinance amending Title I, Chapter 15 of the Beecher Municipal Code pertaining to civil emergencies. We have not updated this code since 1971. It was written for civil unrest. It was written for a 48-hour period. It is very obvious to us at this point that the pandemic is going to last for more than 48 hours. We need to give the village president certain authority to pay bills and enter into contracts during this emergency. You will be advised, just like you are now, by email of things that are happening in the village. If, for example, we cannot meet on April 13th, you will get your list of bills on Friday. You'll be asked to comment on the bills to me, and if we don't hear anything by Monday night, the village president will then authorize the bills to be paid. So these are some of the things that we're going to have to do moving forward. The finance chairman can still come in and review the bills like we do currently. Everything will be the same. But if we get to teleconferencing, if the governor extends the Open Meetings Act suspension beyond March 30th, then we could probably do this meeting by teleconference. And I would prefer to do things that way. But for now, we need this ordinance in place in the event we really run into a problem. And for some reason, we can't get 4 people on a phone to conduct village business. So with that, Mr. President, I don't know what ordinance number that would be. But
1325.
Need a motion?
There a motion?
And so, yeah, I'll make the motion.
And is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any questions?
Do we have to rescind this at some point when this is done, or how does it?
This was adopted by, we amended the current code that was in place, so I believe it has a time frame on it already.
it's a 30-day. The village president, at any time during a disaster, can declare a disaster for a period of 30 days unless the village board meets and suspends it sooner, okay, which can happen. But this is allowed in state law. It's an IML recommended policy. We just never dealt with it. And it's something that we never updated in our code book. It's very obvious now we need to do that.
So this would automatically expire April 18th?
Correct, unless the mayor re-ups it again. Okay, if we have a meeting, the board by motion can kill the declaration. So if the mayor or 2 trustees demand a meeting, we will set the meeting up and kill it. So I'm talking about if a mayor decides he wants to be a dictator and declare an emergency, it doesn't really work that way under state law. It has to be for a stated specific reason. And in this case, it's the COVID-19 pandemic.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Missouri? Yes. Basil?
Yes.
Whaling?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.
Meyer? Yes. Kraus?
Yes.
Thank you. Todd, wherever you're at, would you like to handle the next one?
I'm here. Yes, this is consider a resolution adopting an amended policy for the hiring of full-time sworn police officers in the village of Beecher. This is what we talked about last meeting, that the resolution did not read the way it was intended. We ran into some issues, so language has been cleared up to my satisfaction. That now allows what we originally intended to, just not to let good officers that we have go because of the resolution. Is there a number?
2020-6.
So I make a motion to adopt a resolution, to consider, let me try again, make a motion to resolution 2020-06, amend policy for the hiring of full-time sworn police officers in the village of Beecher.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Kraus?
Yes.
Meyer? Meyer,
Yes.
Capros,
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Mazurik,
Yes.
Next, I'd like to consider a motion appointing Ryan Drew as a full-time police officer, replacing Officer Zurich. So I'd like to make that motion to appoint Ryan Drew as full-time police officer.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Or is there a second, any questions? Roll call.
Mazurik,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Capros.
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes. That's all.
Consider delaying the budget review and appropriation process for 90 days as provided by law. The village board has a budget workshop scheduled for March 30th and a public hearing scheduled for April 24th on the budget with adoption to follow thereafter. It is highly unlikely that at this point that this schedule can be followed for budget approval. It is recommended that the village board do the following: pay all wages according to the collective bargaining agreement currently in effect, increase non-union salaries by 2.5% as in the proposed budget, suspend all capital, new equipment, and new vehicle spending for 90 days, allow the continuation of sidewalk repair, road repair, curb repair per budget, since this is an MFT, infractional account projects. The funding is in reserve, and these projects are seasonal in nature. Cancel the budget workshop and the public hearing on budget until later date. The village can function until August 1st with these motions in place. Any questions? Otherwise, I'd like to make a motion to delaying the budget review and appropriation process for 90 days as approved by law.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Let me make a comment. There were several options available to us that we felt basically that, number one, giving us 90 days, we may have to look at revenues again, not knowing what's coming down the future. And secondly, at least we would still allow a full discussion of the budget rather than trying to do something else. So all we're doing is just delaying everything for 90 days, and then we'll take a review, we'll take reconsideration at that particular point in time. And I hope, God, that this doesn't go any farther.
So at some point, we will review the budget.
That was our intent, yes.
We're gonna probably have to make some additional cuts because it's obvious revenue is gonna be affected by this pandemic. But we don't have a handle on that yet, and we won't for at least two or 3 months.
Yeah, and just to reiterate again, we did not want to not allow that, so that's why we're going this route.
So, my question would be, why are we doing anything other than A? Because A is the only thing we're contractually obliged to.
The discussion that we've had is that the employees deserve the raise. We're probably going to give them the raise because according to the CBAs, the raises that we're giving are in accordance with the CBAs.
I said it, except for A.
I'm
A
sorry.
is something we're contractually obligated to.
What he's saying is freeze all
There's-
non-union wages at the current rate. is
Oh,
what he's saying.
and even C and D. I mean, why are we even discussing this? I mean, we have a contract that we're bound to through collective bargaining agreements, right? Those are gonna happen no matter what.
Right.
Outside of that, why are we approving anything other than delaying it and it's business as usual? Our
Okay.
budget doesn't start until May 1st, right?
All right.
We're middle of March. We haven't even discussed this budget. We haven't, not a single word. Why would we do anything other than what we're obligated to, especially without the unknown?
Well, C is,
Everything goes off of revenues.
well, C is suspending all capital equipment and vehicle spending. C is no spending whatsoever for that. D,
Well, you can't do it if it's not in the budget, so.
right, D, if we don't start planning for that now, because that work is seasonal, it may not get done.
Okay, but we,
So okay, maybe I misread this. Are we tentatively approving a budget that was put in front of us, but we have not gone over yet? Or is this just like a continuing resolution where everything just continues the exact same without any?
The discussion we had was to approve these items, to take action on these items that we have before you. Now, go back to the increased non-union salaries. One of the discussion we had is that we sort of felt it was not fair for all our employees not to get the raise just because they don't have a contract. That's why that was in there.
But if we're
We
talking.
sort of,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, we see both sides of the coins here. These are the options that are before us, and that's why I hear what you're
If you
saying.
wanna take B off the list, that's fine, but D, the money's already there, and it's committed for that purpose anyway. So, you could wait another 60 days max before you approve that, but since that work is seasonal in nature, if we don't get moving on it, we're not gonna be able to get it done this year.
I have a question. So with B, if we did not do that now, since we don't know what's gonna come up, if we decided to still do, so we go to budget time, we postpone it for a while, we do the 2.5%, can we make it retroactive?
You can, that was one thing that we discussed, trying to
So that
avoid.
they're not losing their money, you know what I'm saying?
But we tried to avoid back pay. That was a discussion that we had.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd like that idea, but especially, I mean, if we're talking, we don't know what the revenue's gonna be and cutting stuff. I think to have those options on the table is maybe as opposed to cutting, but, you know,
Because I would not
cutting
wanna,
something out with lower wages.
yeah,
would be
I mean, I would
better
not wanna
option.
have them go without the money, but if there's a way to do, you know what I mean? If we're gonna postpone the budget process, and then if we're gonna approve that, approve it back and give them the money till, you know. That's just my thoughts, only because we don't know what's headed here.
I mean, look at this another way too, is that again, if, to your very valid point, if in fact again, I'm thinking in this, another different avenue is that if the revenues do fall short, we may not be able to get that work done anyways.
What's that?
Item number D,
That money's already there, it's MFT and infrastructure.
I got you, that's right, you did say that.
And I don't know, you can't use MFT money for the general operations anyway.
So D, that money's already there, it doesn't matter what the revenue projections are.
That's correct. Now, if you wanna say, let's don't do D anyway, that's fine, but just know that if you make that decision, we may not be able to get it done this season. You'd have to wait to 21. And Matt, is that, I don't know, how can you wait before we pull the trigger on curbs and sidewalks and roads?
I haven't got anything prepared for it, so it'll be a while down the road before any of that work would begin anyways.
We're, you know, I just feel like some of this is like very like, I mean, I understand the situation that we're in, and I'm not making light of it at all. But we're gonna cancel the next 2 meetings, right? And we're gonna address all this, everything's only runs through emergency wise, which we just approved through the 18th of April. Okay, everything from the schools and everything has been on hold for a few weeks. I don't see why we're postponing things 90 days. We got time to continue to postpone it, you know, and I see delaying the budget workshop and talks like that until we're able to have them, but in the meantime, I don't see anything other than, I mean, A is obvious, you can't, there's not even a need for a motion for A because you're contractually obligated to that. Outside of that, I don't know why we're even,
Going this far out, is that what you're saying?
yeah, I mean, we're talking 90 days, I mean,
It's 90 days, Dave, because August, you have to have it done by August 1st. We're not saying you can't get it done any sooner. In other words, if this clears up, I'm going to church every day this week, if it clears up in 2 weeks, we could resend that and then start all over again, start coming back and set the dates.
I mean, we've closed our business for 2 weeks. Are we gonna be able to reopen it in 2 weeks?
We don't know.
Don't know, but we're gonna reassess it in 2 weeks. You know what I mean, and
Yeah, and
kind of
I
take it
think,
from there
okay,
instead of,
then-
you know, we're not saying we're gonna close it for 3 months because, you know,
Okay, and maybe then we should, it's not clear what we're saying. We have up until August 1st to pass this. That would be, it has to be done by then. There is nothing to say we can't get it done earlier if it clears up, to your point. And that's certainly is the hope that we can do that.
If you took no action, that wouldn't happen. Everything is frozen until August 1st anyway. You know, that's what the law says. We thought we would just discuss it.
That was the intent to bring it before the board. So it's a pleasure.
So if we do nothing with this, then we can just reassess it in 30 days or whatever the next emergency would be.
Yeah, the problem is after you click over May 1, we're running a general ledger that doesn't have any budgeted amounts in it. You know what I'm saying? So we would probably carry over last year's budget into the new year until the new numbers come out.
And that's sort of what we're gonna have to do either way.
Yeah, we would
The
probably.
only thing you're allowing here is the spending out of the MFT and infrastructure anyway. So everything would revert back to the previous year's budget anyway, right? And I mean, I'll go ahead and say it, I mean, it's budget workshop time is, I got questions about the revenue to begin with. You know this, and we had these discussions when we went over that. Now you throw in the uncertainty of what's gonna happen with sales tax revenues, income tax revenues, et cetera. To just blindly pass some of this stuff, I don't see the rush or the need. I think you gotta have those discussions.
Does everybody else agree?
Yeah. I would like to
I do.
at least wait a little bit before we make a 90-day decision in August.
We need to see what this, actually need to see what this looks like moving forward and how bad or disastrous it's going to be.
Okay.
Okay, all things are frozen then, that's all we do.
Okay, and then I would, with ongoing, like I said in my comment, I'd like to cancel all future meetings at least until April 13th.
That should be the 27th, correct, of April, not the 24th.
We're not going that far out, because he's saying there may be a meeting on April 13th. April 13th, where we really have, well,
We may have to have a meeting on the 13th, because we have to pass a bond ordinance for the water line, lead line replacement program. And that may require physical presence.
he had other dates in here, but then he's saying that we may have to have April 13th.
Or just cancel on 23rd.
Right.
Hey, Greg. But there was a motion on the table to consider delaying the budget review and appropriation process for 90 days as provided by law.
I'm sorry, there was
That
a
motion should still. go
Was there a
for
second?
vote, correct?
No, yeah.
Yeah, there was a first, first and a second, so
Okay, I'm sorry, roll call.
Kraus,
No.
Meyer,
I have a
This-
question, we're just voting to delay the budget process
Correct.
without all the rest of this
Yeah.
other stuff.
right. Because that would be a separate motion to do those other things. Because we're delaying the budget process regardless, correct?
Correct. There actually, in my opinion, doesn't have to be a motion, but go ahead.
Well, the motion was already
I
made.
know.
Well, they can withdraw their
You want me to
motion.
rescind it?
Motion.
Yeah.
You want me to
That's what I'm
rescind it?
asking is,
Rescind the motion.
Let me rescind.
okay.
I'd like to rescind,
Who did the second?
I did the second.
Rescind as well?
Yep.
I'd like to rescind the consideration delaying the budget review and appropriation process for 90 days as approved by law.
Okay. And who as well?
I rescind my second.
Okay, thank you. All right, now the motion to cancel any future meetings until April 13th,
Do you want me to do that?
please.
Consider a motion canceling the March 23rd meeting, regular board meetings and the special board meetings scheduled for 6 PM on Monday, March 30th. There may be other options for the board to have a meeting either by phone or other means, but this is not totally clear at this time of printing. We will not be physically present for the meeting until May 1st. It appears at this point. The motion takes care of the regular meetings. A special meeting may be called by the village president at a later date. We will also follow our usual procedure for providing you with timely, relevant information such as a list of bills, treasurer's report, monthly reports, for you to review and make comments before anything is paid or action is taken. So I'd like to make a motion canceling the March 23rd meeting, regular board meeting and special village board meeting scheduled for 6 PM on Monday, March 30th.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Just a second, any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because we canceled the 23rd, what about the 13th and the 24th
Or 27th.
27.
or 27th?
Okay, again, this was easier for me just to simply say we're canceling everything up until April 13th.
Okay,
We will notify you if we cancel those other meetings.
okay.
Is that your motion, canceling
Yes.
everything up till April 13th?
Yes, that's my motion.
Who seconded it?
I do.
Okay, and you agree too as well?
Yeah.
Okay, and just one other comment to make sure clear. Just because this is the way I prefer it, but the meetings would still be open, any other board meeting that we have, no matter when we call it, how we call it, we're still gonna follow the same protocol. The doors are just gonna be open like today, the public can still come, you can still come, although we highly discourage that because of the social contact. But again, we still will be here, we'll still tape it, the audio will still be there, someone can come if they want, you can come if they want, we have that option, is what I'm getting at. I wasn't sure if I was clear enough on that before. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Excuse me. Kraus,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Caprows,
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Kazar.
Yes.
Any old business to come before the board? Any new business?
Has anyone contacted like the chamber or the small businesses in town to see what we can do to help them, like posting stuff on Facebook or posting on our website? I think I saw something on our Facebook already, but does the state have something we can help them to get availability of resources?
The state and the federal government is trying to come up with some type of economic package to help them as well, and it hasn't been finalized yet, although I just got an email from him which could contain it, and I haven't read it yet. As far as us is concerned, we are advertising and pushing, like I said in my statement earlier, shop local, do your, try and buy from the restaurants and do your carryouts. We have had a couple calls, made suggestions, and so on and so forth. Chamber of Commerce, we are issuing a letter earlier that was on Facebook and so on and so forth. We're now going through the Chamber of Commerce, sending that letter out, postponing all fees, license fees and so on and so forth for 90 days. And then we'll reevaluate it at that particular point in time. And by all means, if anybody has any other suggestions, get hold of us. Any other new business?
Yeah, I was just gonna question about the fuel committee, where we at with that?
Refresh my memory.
Opening bids tomorrow morning at 10. I guess if there's a state of emergency declared, you'd have to decide what to do with those bids if we don't have a meeting. Because the bids are only good for like 7 days after they're open. So do you have any comment, John, or what?
How can I make a comment without the bids being open?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the bids are gonna be, I have no idea. I know we do have 2 bids already.
I mean, it would depend on what the bids are. I mean, we've discussed this before. I think you guys kinda got an idea what my opinion is. I mean, we see what's going on in the market with it right now. I can't give an opinion without knowing what those bids are at, what kind of numbers they are. But, I mean, you gotta remember, the prices you see at the tank, there was a recent large tax added that we're exempt from, amongst the, whatever it is, 17 cents that we were already paying. So, I mean, you'd have to do the math and see what you're paying.
The variable price versus the flat rate for a year.
Yeah.
Well, what you said it very well. We're pretty much aware of what your feelings are from the past, and we always do discuss that at our meetings and weigh those options. So, anybody else have any comments? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
And there's a second. Please, I'll make this one comment. Everybody stay healthy, stay safe. I want to thank everybody, village board, staff, first responders, and our residents for getting us through this process. Roll call.
Kazar.
Yes.
Basil.
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Caprows.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.